Am I the asshole for embarrassing my best friend's new wife at the wedding? I, 22F, have been best friends with J, 22M, since childhood. We did everything together and our parents were also pretty close. We went to separate colleges, with J staying more local and me moving a state over. Then the pandemic hit. And on top of me being in college, living in another state, and working, I wasn't able to see J in person for a while and we mostly communicated through text. In 2021, J told me that he had met a girl, A, and I was very excited. I was able to travel back home months later to see my family, J, and A. When I introduced myself to A, she seemed uninterested. I didn't think much of it initially, but as I saw them a few more times these past few years, A just seemed to get colder with me. In September 2022, J proposed to A. The wedding was set for May 2023. J told me that A wanted me to be a bridesmaid, which I happily obliged to. Here's where things took a turn. A started sending me nasty text messages, calling me names, accusing me of wanting to steal J away from her. I assured her that was not the case, and that J and I were just longtime best friends. She kept this up for months and I kept telling her the same thing. That I was not at all interested in J. The messages and horrible insults continued, but I put up with it. I want to clarify that I would have better explained myself to A more properly, if it weren't for her verbally abusing me constantly. In March, I went back home and A continued with her harassment and told me that she never wanted me to be a fucking bridesmaid, and the only reason she did is because J wanted to. I couldn't take it anymore, so I told her that I would be dropping out as a bridesmaid. I got a call from J later that night. J and I argued because I felt like he was just letting her treat me poorly, this entire time. He apologized, but said that she was going to be his new wife, and therefore couldn't do anything about it. He then added A doesn't want me there for the actual wedding ceremony, but he and her agreed that I could come for the reception. Now here's where I may be the asshole. On the invite, I was allowed a +1. So, I show up to the wedding reception, walking in hand, with my new girlfriend. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. I'm fucking gay. When I went over to the happy couple, I introduced my companion as my girlfriend Jane. A looked absolutely mortified. The next day, I got more texts from A basically upset with me that I didn't tell her that I was gay, and that I completely embarrassed her at her wedding. J called me and told me that he understands why I'm upset, but that not telling A that I'm a lesbian and then showing up with my new girlfriend at the wedding to make a point was just petty. J knows that I'm gay, but he didn't tell A because he wanted me to speak for myself, which I was going to, until A started calling me horrible names constantly and sending me threats, so I decided to let my action speak for itself. Now I'm wondering if I went too far. Edit. To those about why A was embarrassed, let me explain. I had spent months, maybe even when I first met her, thinking that I was in love with J and that I was trying to steal him from her. She was so convinced by this that she went out of her way to bombard me with calls and texts calling me every name in the book, threatening me, treating me like shit, etc. Some of which I can't repeat on here. This was still happening after I had told her that I was not in love with J, multiple times. She barely knew me and she was making assumptions even though I tried to be her friend. She was so upset that she didn't even allow me to come to their wedding. A wedding that my best friend from childhood was a part of. So, cue her shock when I show up with another woman, as my date, as my partner. She realized there that all that time she wasted verbally abusing me was for nothing, because I was right. I was telling her the truth. I am in fact not in love with J. In fact, I'm not even interested in his gender. Secondly, I want to be clear that J does not tell another people that he knows that I'm gay, out of respect, since it would be better if it came out of my mouth. I would have told her about my sexuality, and I had tried to, but at a certain point, I realized that 1, she wasn't hearing me out at all, and second, with the stuff that she put me through, I wanted to show her, not tell her. It was just pure pettiness on my part. So, I'm upset with J is not because he didn't tell her about my sexuality, it was because he knew that I wasn't trying to steal him away from her and did nothing to stop her from harassing me. Didn't say anything to her, just kind of let it happen. That's what hurts the most. J was the first person I came out to. Before my parents, before my other friends, before my extended family, I went to him first. Because I trusted him. Now I'm not so sure. Not the asshole in the slightest. That fucking twist was golden, laughing my ass off. She made herself look stupid. If she would have taken 5 seconds to get to know you instead of being so insecure, she would have known you're a lesbian. That's on her. ETA. Your friend kinda sucks, too. Not the asshole. Your friend is spineless, drop him. Not the asshole. What she did was terrible. It was disrespectful to you and her now husband. It is also very bad form not to invite someone to the reception but not the ceremony. Jay should have stood up for you, and I'm amazed you're still willing to be his friend. Showing up with your girlfriend was poetic justice. It serves her right for the way she treated you. Not the asshole. I legit don't understand why you didn't tell Jay about the texts Say was sending you when you got them. That doesn't make you an asshole, though, just kinda dumb in my opinion. Were I Jay, I would not want to get married to someone who insults and degrades a friend of mine. I just am being a bit forgiving for him, as we really don't know what he was told going into this situation. Not the asshole. You did not embarrass her at her wedding. No one other than Jay knew she had been so nasty to you. Jay should have spoken to you about telling her that you are gay. Would I be the asshole if I skipped my sister's wedding? Throwaway account plus fake names. And #X200B. I, 23 male, am one of 7 kids. There's Lydia, 31 female, Josh, 28 male, Leo, 25 male, me. Then Aaron, 21 female, Nadia, 18 female, and the surprise child Lexi, 4 female. With that many siblings, it's easy to get lost in the crowd. Some of us have our positions, so to speak. Lydia's the oldest, Lexi's the baby. I have a kid. Yes, that's my descriptor. Gave us a grandchild. Erin is the golden child. She was the last planned child, the one supposed to tie up our family. She was born premature, so I understand that my parents coddled her to an extent, but it's more than that now. And #X200B. Erin's getting married and recently told us that she's brought the date forward due to a cancellation. No big deal, it just means they're getting married sooner. But the new date lands on the date of Nadia's HS graduation. Erin was sympathetic, but said she's already committed to the date. They've printed the invitations. My parents normally go overboard on our HS grads, but they said that they'd just have to miss Nadia's. We were all sympathetic, but it wasn't intentional. And #X200B. Or so I thought. But Nadia later told me and Leo that she was there when Erin got the call about the cancellation and told Erin that she was graduating that day. But Erin just laughed and accepted the date anyway. This, as much as I hate to admit it, sounds like a very Erin thing to do. She booked her engagement part for the night of Nadia's 18th birthday. Luckily, she wasn't celebrating until the weekend. She announced her engagement at my oldest sister's wedding anniversary. Everything is about her. And #X200B. I confronted Erin about this, and she said that Nadia's HS graduation didn't matter. She wanted to get married to the love of her life sooner, and our family had been to plenty of HS graduations at this point, anyway. She said something like, "We still have Lexi. But here's what gets me the most. Nadia's been looking forward to this for so long. She's watched all of us graduate and have these huge celebrations thrown by our parents." I asked Nadia what she wanted, and she said she wanted to have her day. And #X200B. So, I told my family that me and Nadia won't be attending the wedding. Leo has also dropped out. Everyone's angry. Erin's furious, and I didn't make it better by telling her that I could watch our other siblings get married, since it's all the same in her eyes. Mom's trying to convince me to come to the wedding because graduation isn't as important. But I feel like if I don't do this then it sets a precedent in Nadia's life that she's always going to mean less than Erin. I've had messages calling me an asshole, an idiot, etc. They're telling me to step up and be a good brother, but that's what I'm doing. My son is supposed to be ring bearer, but with how my family is reacting, I'm considering pulling him out of the wedding, too. My dad's told Nadia he'll take her to dinner after the wedding. Nadia's currently staying with me because mom won't stop cornering her. And #X200B. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. You are an amazing brother. I would love to have you as my brother. I can confidently predict 2 things right now. 1. Nadia will never forget what you have done for her. 2. Your parents will end up regretting that they spoiled Erin. May take a while. Please update us again after her graduation. Not the asshole. I think what you're doing for your sister, Nadia, is a wonderful thing. Especially in light of the fact that Erin didn't care that she was hurting her and your family don't seem all that bothered by that selfish behavior. Not the asshole, you do you and for your sister. She will be so thankfully her brother will always have it. If it was me, yeah, I'd pull my kid out too. Not the asshole. Congrats to both of your sisters. It sucks that Erin has put you in this situation, but it's unfair for Nadia to miss out on the support and celebration the rest of you got because of Erin's choices. I think you're doing the right thing by standing by her and trying to make her graduation more special. Am I the asshole for moving out and refusing to continue taking my ex-roommate to work? So back in 2018 I moved in with a girl I knew in school. We ended up working at a fast food joint and I was talking about getting my own place and she said that she did too. So I suggested we get one together and she agreed. We found a place pretty close to where we worked because she didn't have a license or car. I was 19 and she was a few years older than me. I did have a car and a license, so if we worked together I'd drive us both there, or if she closed I would pick her up so she wasn't walking alone in the dark. I got the internet and she put the water and electricity in her name. But she insisted that she be in charge of making sure the internet was paid. So I gave her the information and she would pay it after I'd give her my half of the bills. I eventually decided I wanted to get a better paying job, so I applied at a factory and got the job. So I told her about it since they were still looking for more employees. So she asked if she were to apply if I'd take her back and forth to work with me. I said that of course I would as long as she chipped in for the gas. It was about $10 a day for 6 days a week depending on the overtime, so she ended up applying and got the job. Then after a while I started to have issues with her. Anytime something went wrong she would yell and scream at me about it, blaming it on me. If a bill was late it was my fault even if I gave her the money before it was due. If the apartment was a mess it was my fault. Even if I just cleaned the day before and she invited multiple people over and didn't clean up after them. Then if she tried to get a hold of me and my phone didn't get the text or call she claimed I just ignored it or blocked her. My phone was acting up really bad and I never blocked her. She would even barge in my room to yell at me. If I bought litter and food for my cat she would use it all for hers and then complain if I didn't buy more. Over 3 months of driving her to work and back I received $5 in gas from her and that's it. And if I didn't have the money to go out and do anything she would tell me to budget better. I was spending all my money in gas to take her everywhere. So I was talking to my sister one day and she told me I needed to get out ASAP. So her and my brother moved me out within 2 hours. And when I left she tried calling my phone and it didn't go through and she started yelling at me in front of my sister. Then she asked if I would continue to take her to work. I told her no and left. So WITA for not continuing to take her to work? WITA for moving out and refusing to continue taking my ex-roommate to work? Edit. So I paid for the whole month I got out. I called the landlord and explained the situation and she was fine with it. I did pay them an extra $200 for the carpet my cat had scratched up a little so the landlord could fix it. Also all the payments for the other stuff was taken over by the roommate. She got someone to move in just a week after I moved out also. Not the asshole. She was using and abusing you. No rides for her. Not the asshole, she was massively taking you for granted. Gigs up and she has no one to blame but herself. NTA. She was taking advantage of you. Continuing to drive her to work should be the last thing on your mind. Not the asshole, she is abusing and taking advantage of you. You're better off without her. Not the asshole. You took her to work because you lived in the same place and worked in the same place. It was contingent on gas money. Where you messed up was continuing to drive her when she didn't pay for gas. She has no reason to expect you to continue driving her. She didn't pay for gas. Treated you so badly that your sister decided you needed to immediately move. No. She doesn't need a ride from you. Am I the asshole for exposing my future sister-in-law for bullying me in high school at a family event? In high school, I used to be friends with this girl Annika. We were close until junior year, when I discovered she had been spreading false rumors about me. However, even after I stopped being friends with her, she continued to make up lies about me and made my life hell right up until we graduated. We went to different universities and I'm in my mid-20s now. My older brother Carter went to the same university as Annika. Recently, he announced that he had gotten engaged to his girlfriend. Our family was happy for him, but we were surprised at the same time since we didn't know he was dating anyone. He said he'd introduce her at an upcoming family party. The party rolled around and guess who walked in the door with Carter? Annika. I honestly thought I was hallucinating, and I felt sick seeing her again. Carter left Annika with some relatives, then came over to me and asked to talk. We went to another room and Carter explained he'd met Annika at a party and didn't recognize her, but it was love at first sight. But after he found out her full name, he realized it was the same Annika who spread lies about me. He confronted her and she claimed to not remember me or anything she did. He let it go because he really liked her. He then pleaded with me to be nice to her since she didn't remember what she had done and that she was a good person. I just told him I needed a moment to myself to process everything. When I eventually went back to the party, I decided I would ignore her. I didn't say anything rude, I just didn't talk to her or acknowledge her. She didn't talk to me or acknowledge me either. But when we sat down to eat, all hell broke loose. One of my aunts asked me how I felt about my brother getting married. I tried changing the subject, but she kept pressing, so I eventually snapped and said something like, "I actually don't feel great about it considering his future wife bullied me and never apologized." Everyone turned to look at Annika. She just started crying and ran out of the room. Carter went after her, and they left early. The rest of the night was chaotic because everyone was asking me what happened. I told them. Later, Carter called me and said I was a horrible person for embarrassing Annika in front of the whole family and I was being petty over high school drama. He demanded I apologize to her. I refused and said he was the awful one for blindsiding me with this, and that if she never bothered to reach out and apologize for what she did while they were dating, I wasn't going to let it go now that they were engaged. He kept insisting that she didn't remember, and she can't apologize for something she doesn't remember, but I think that's bullshit. I ended up hanging up on him. The way I see it, I was asked a direct question and I provided a direct answer. Also, I don't think I have any obligation to cover for her when she made my life hell, especially when she's obviously lying about not remembering. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. It's awfully convenient that bullies never remember the trauma they inflicted on their target. I guarantee most of them remember, even if it's not fine details. Fuck her. You owe her nothing, and it's completely reasonable not to associate with her. Not the asshole if the bullying was that bad, she remembers. I hate when men let their penises do the thinking. I can't see this lasting. Not the asshole. Your brother as he knew who she was and did not provide you any heads up before the ambush. Annika as she was at least reminded of her conduct when he confronted her in advance of the ambush and she could have then at least apologized in advance instead of likewise ambushing you. You're not. You answered a direct question with a succinct answer when Annika knew you had those memories and feelings. She played with fire. Eventually she burned herself. Not the asshole. The North remembers. Not the asshole.